Alright, so I promised we would talk about how to kill people and die. So in Words of Power, you have two kind of HP stats. You have your HP for each hit zone, head, main hand, legs, offhand. But you also have armor for each part. So let's say you have leather 3 armor. You have 3 armor in each of those hit zones that has to be expended before your HP. So if I hit you in the head for 6 damage, you've got a leather helmet, 3 armor, your armor will break, and the extra 3 damage is just completely discarded. In this way, you will not get one shot, pretty much ever, unless you're just unarmored for no reason. Enemies generally don't have armor unless they're bosses or champions, someone a little higher up. But once you are exposed, and let's say your arm is unarmored, and it gets hit for 6 damage, you've only got 6 HP, you lose your arm. It's maimed, destroyed. You can't use it for anything. You can't wield a weapon, you can't block with it, you can't carry things with it. It's completely disabled, story and mechanics-wise. So the player characters are considered dead when their head HP is completely depleted. If you get hit in a zone that has been maimed, that damage is directed directly to your head HP. Even if you still have a armored helmet, getting hit in a maimed spot attacks the HP. Enemies, generally, I would say 99% of the time, should be considered dead when they're maimed. It is specific instruction in the Storyteller's Guide to not do no corpse, no kill bullshit. If something is not dead from a maim, the storyteller is required to say it. They can't just let you assume that something is dead from a maim. We do it to keep pacing, we do it to keep things moving. So, this brings us to interruption. There are certain actions you can take that will take 2 turns. You can start fleeing on one turn and complete it the next. You can begin moving from one range to another and complete it the next turn. Some spells may be channeled, that sort of thing. Anytime you could interrupt an action, the way that you do it is by dealing HP damage. If an area is armored, it can't be interrupted. You can break the armor, won't interrupt. You have to deal HP damage. And then the resistor, the person being interrupted, rolls a d6, and they have to get higher than the damage that you dealt. It has 2 effects. One, if you hit me with, say, a dagger for 1d4, and I roll a 5, I'm not interrupted, I get to escape. If you hit me with, let's say, a greatsword, 1d10, big ol' 2-hander, then you can do more damage than I can possibly resist. So you can interrupt me with a big heavy attack. Also, if you maim a body part, it's an automatic interrupt. So if I have 1 HP left on my legs, and you shoot me with an arrow, and they get maimed, and I roll a 6, I'm still interrupted. It doesn't matter. Now, Words of Power lets the storytellers have a lot of leeway in how spell effects are applied. The important thing is that the players express an intent, a magical intent, a thing that they want to accomplish using the words, and that the storyteller gets as close to that as they can. So, if you use Lightning Strike and you want to strike an orc with lightning, you need to express why you want to strike them with lightning. Are you trying to do damage? Are you trying to stun them? Are you trying to heat up their armor so they'll take it off? Are you trying to conduct something, right? There are many reasons you might strike an orc with lightning. And so you express intent, you use your words, the storyteller gets you as close as they can, and they might add certain mechanical realities to that, right? So if you use, one of my favorite examples is Iron Mist, right? You want to make a hazardous mist of little sharp bits that enemies won't want to move through. So the intent there is to stop dudes from moving through this area. And the storyteller might determine that an area is one range of the battle board. They might determine that it's one space on the battlefield. It could vary depending on the context in which you use it. You could block a doorway, or you could encircle a town, right? It's all based on the intent of the casting. We just want to satisfy that intent as much as we can while balancing it out in real time. So if an orc did move through the Iron Mist, they might take 1 damage. They might take 1 damage to all zones. It will vary based on the context. So you might need to make attack rolls, you might need to use the special rules, you might need to do lots of things, and so having a firm, solid understanding of the combat rules allows you to apply them as relevant in context. Again, tools, not rules. It's very important to understand that the entire game should be as narrative as possible, and that the battle board is only there for when things get too complicated for everyone to keep in their mind. You should not be using it for 1v1s, 1v2s. Getting guards in a doorway is just not relevant. You want to talk through that roleplay wise as much as you can. So the last thing we're going to talk about is resting and healing. Anytime that you have 6 hours uninterrupted, that you are chilling at the tavern, that you're resting, sleeping, that you're, in prison, like any of these things, you regain your inherent word use, right? So any words that you chose at level up, you can use those again. Your HP is restored if your limbs are not maimed. You can trade drawn words between each other, and your armor is restored. So anytime you rest, and resting is very loose, you don't have to be unconscious, but sleep is still necessary. All of these things will refresh to full. As long as we're talking about healing and resting, we're going to talk about maims and death. So, when you are maimed, as a reaction, you are able to spend a permanent tag of your character to regrow the limb instantly, but it takes a full turn. It'll take your next turn. You can also resist death by spending a tag. So if you get your head chopped off, you can remove the cheater tag from your character to not die. And this is one of the things that makes Fate Weavers so absolutely resilient and old, is that the more fates they have, the harder they are to kill. You can just choose to die. That's a totally fine thing to do. But if we remove the cheater tag from your character sheet, it needs to alter your roleplay. Your character will feel the missing of something he once was. He'll act differently. He'll no longer get those bonuses. He's not a cheater anymore. He's not a tracker anymore. It's a big deal, and it can ruin your feeling for your character if you choose the wrong tag. Sometimes you will wish you had died. It's just the reality of it. It's part of the game. So anytime that you get maimed or would die, you are able to spend a permanent tag, not the racial ones, just the ones you chose, to not die or not get maimed. Hopefully it doesn't come up very often, but here we are. All right. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. Just a reminder that the game is still in development, and so the most current rules will not be in these videos. They will be on the website in the rule book. You can also stop by the Discord to get up-to-date information and maybe participate in the upcoming weekly public games. If you'd like to be a playtester, make sure to DM me, because we need them badly. Have a great day.